Paul Pogba's absence may be a little more extended than first thought. It casts our mind to Manchester United's midfield and how they deal with them. Champions League didn't seem to be a problem, but Ander Herrera could become a key piece in the momentum in the next few weeks.
Well, without question, Ander Herrera, who, let's remember, was Manchester United's Player of the Year last season, was Europa League Finals player of the game, but has found opportunities hard to come by this time around for a player of his quality and given his most recent accolades. But yes, now that Paul Pogba has gone down, we're still unsure exactly how long he'll be out for. Maybe United do need Herrera's qualities higher up the park. Nemanja Matic has come in and done a good job of shoring up that midfield defensively, protecting the back four, but I still feel, especially without Paul Pogba, they need that attacking influence from midfield, and maybe that comes in the form of Ander Herrera.
He is very versatile, he's said that himself. Do you see long-term, with Pogba back in the team, that Herrera complements him perhaps as much as Matic?
Not as much as Matic. I still feel that Pogba's greatest asset to Manchester United will be sitting in front of the back four. Jose Mourinho tends to use him. But because of his passing range and his offensive abilities, I find Pogba, or find Herrera to be more like Pogba than Nemanja Matic, who's a little bit more comfortable sitting deeper. Herrera is attack-minded. Herrera can get forward, can score goals. So I see Pogba-Herrera as being a less effective partnership than Pogba-Matic. That doesn't discount the fact that I think Herrera has a big role to play, especially with the number of games at Manchester United, number of big games at Manchester United, where we'll be participating in this season.
Okay, Manchester United still off to a flyer, of course, 2 wins out of 2 in the Champions League, building momentum in the Premier League as well. Still doing without Paul Pogba, and long-term, of course, they have the options right now, but long-term, working out how best still to complement the player they believe to be one of the world's best.
Jose Mourinho has just held his weekly press conference at Carrington behind me, and the main news to come out of it is about Paul Pogba's injury. Jose Mourinho says that Pogba is now considered a long-term injury absentee, along with the likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Marcus Rojo. And it's the first time that the Mourinho's really used language like that when talking about Pogba's injury. When we've asked him in the past, he said he doesn't know how severe the injury is. He said that he doesn't know how many games Pogba might miss, and today was the first time really that we got a chance to hear from him and explain how bad that injury might be. Obviously, it's a huge blow for United. Pogba started the season particularly well, scoring goals, playing in a little bit of a freer role with Nemanja Matic behind him. But judging by what Mourinho had to say today, we might not see Pogba for quite a while. Obviously, Ibrahimovic is out until probably the new year. Rojo is training again, but not fully with the squad, and is set to miss another couple of months. And if Pogba's being treated in that bracket, then it really is a huge blow for United.
Yeah, Manchester United against Palace this weekend. A lot of talk about Paul Pogba going into this tie, but didn't he get injured like a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, he got injured against Basel in the Champions League, in matchday 1 of the Champions League. It was reported as a hamstring injury. Video emerged of him dancing at United's training facility, so people thought, well, if he can dance, surely he's on his way back. But today, Mourinho suggesting that his injury was, he considers him to be long-term injured, like Marcos Rojo and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, guys like that. And now certainly the talk is that we're looking at about 6 weeks out. So presumably it wasn't just a strain; it was a tear and a more serious one at this stage.
How significant is this with regards to Manchester United? Looking at them, obviously as title contenders.
Said last week, I'm repeating myself here. You know, teams get injuries. They're a big squad. They've spent millions. They've got they've got a couple of injuries at the moment, but they've got cover. And they're playing the worst team so far by a million miles in the Premier League.
No, of course. We're not talking about what's going to happen this weekend, but the fact that he could be out for 6 weeks surely makes it more of a conversation than it was when we were looking at the
last week he was out for 6 weeks.
No, we didn't. We looked at it. We said Crystal Palace, we said Southampton,
Last week, the reports coming out of Manchester was it was a 6-week injury.
Where did you get these reports
So what's changed?
Well, that's what have you got these reports from? The Sky?
That's what they were saying last week.
This is why it's significant today that he said it's going to be long-term, isn't it?
Well, 6 weeks is not long-term. 6 months is long-term. You need to cope without people. That's what Man City are going to have to cope without Aguero and Benjamin Mendy. Benjamin Mendy's long term. Paul Pogba's got a hamstring injury, allegedly. These things take 46 weeks or thereabouts, depending on how bad the tear is.
But we saw him dancing, Craig.
I don't care if he's dancing, right? That ain't my issue.
How significant is this, Paul, going forward?
I think they've got enough to cover him. Obviously, they've not got another player of Pogba's talent, so obviously they are going to miss him. But I do think Manchester United and what Mourinho's done this season with the squad, I think that he's definitely got enough to get through. But of course, a player of his calibre is going to be missed.
You miss Paul Pogba, no question, but I think you've got a ready-made replacement in Ander Herrera, who was Manchester United's Player of the Year last season. So he slots in rather seamlessly. But still, you look at what's to come for United in the 6 weeks, I think they can cope. They will still be in touching distance at the top of the table. They will still be in the Champions League when he returns, and that's all that matters at this point.
Chelsea had started the scramble through the start of the season without Eden Hazard. City have losing the players that I mentioned, and Liverpool had issues with Coutinho with the transfer window, and he wasn't available. Then he went back and played for Brazil. This is par for the course. The only two guys that seem to be available all the time, although not recently, is Ronaldo and Messi.